Jake Morrison stood in the great hall with heavy chains on his hands and feet. The metal was cold against his skin. Around him, hundreds of alien beings sat in tall chairs, looking down at him. Their skin was pale blue, and they had 6 eyes that glowed softly in the dim light. This was the High Court of the Veltharian Empire. Jake had heard about this place but never thought he would see it. Now he was here as a prisoner, and he knew they wanted to make an example of him. The hall was huge. The walls reached high above his head, covered in strange symbols that seemed to move when he looked at them. Floating lights danced in the air, casting shadows that shifted and changed. Everything here was meant to make humans feel small and afraid. Jake was not afraid. He had seen worse things than this fancy courtroom. His uniform was torn and dirty from the fight when they captured his ship. His gray hair was messy, and he had cuts on his face. But he stood straight and kept his head up. The aliens whispered to each other in their musical language. Jake could understand some of it. They were talking about him, calling him names, saying humans were weak and stupid. He had heard it all before. At the front of the hall sat 3 thrones. The middle one was the biggest, made of what looked like crystal and metal. On it sat a tall female alien with a crown of silver light floating above her head. This was Empress Lyravan, ruler of the Veltharian Empire. To her right sat a younger female. She looked about 20 years old in human terms, but aliens aged differently. Her skin was smoother than the others, and her 6 eyes were bright green instead of blue. She wore a dress that seemed to be made of starlight itself. This was Princess Zarathiel. The princess was beautiful, Jake had to admit. But there was something cold in her eyes, something that reminded him of spoiled children who had never been told no. She was looking at him like he was an insect she wanted to step on. "Bring the human forward," ordered a voice that boomed through the hall. 2 guards pushed Jake toward the thrones. Their hands were rough, and they enjoyed being mean to him. Jake walked as well as he could with the chains. He would not let them drag him. When he reached the right spot, the guards forced him to his knees. Jake looked up at the 3 beings, who held his fate in their hands. The Empress watched him with an expression he could not read. The 3rd throne held an old male alien who seemed to be sleeping. Princess Zarathiel leaned forward in her throne. Her green eyes were full of cruel pleasure. Jake had seen that look before, on the faces of people who enjoyed hurting others. "So this is the great human warrior we captured," she said. Her voice was sweet like honey, but Jake could hear the poison in it. "Look at him, Mother. Look how he shakes before our power." Jake was not shaking, but he said nothing. Sometimes, it was better to let enemies think what they wanted to think. The princess stood up and walked down from her throne. She moved like a dancer, every step perfect and planned. When she was close to Jake, she walked around him slowly, like a cat playing with a mouse. "Tell me, human," she said, stopping in front of him. "How does it feel to know your people are so weak? We caught your ship so easily. Your weapons could not hurt us, your shields broke like glass." Jake met her eyes. "We were on a peaceful mission. We were not ready for a fight." The princess laughed. The sound was like silver bells, but there was no joy in it. "Always excuses with your kind. You are weak and you know it. That is why you hide behind your words." Some of the court members laughed with her. Jake could feel their eyes on him, enjoying his shame. But Jake had been in worse places than this. He had faced real monsters, not spoiled children playing games. "I have seen your people in battle," the princess continued. "You run when things get hard. You cry when your friends die. You give up when the enemy is strong." She leaned closer to his face. "Tell me, did you cry when we destroyed your ship? Did you beg us to spare your life?" Jake thought about his ship and his crew. Good people who had trusted him to keep them safe. He had failed them, and that hurt more than anything this princess could say to him. "I cried for my crew," he said quietly. "Good people died because of my mistakes, but I have never begged for my life, and I will not start now." The princess's eyes flashed with anger. She did not like his answer. She wanted him to be afraid, to admit that humans were weak and worthless. When he did not give her what she wanted, she became angry like a child who could not have a toy. You lie, she said, her voice getting louder. All humans are cowards. You pretend to be brave, but inside you are scared little animals. I have read the reports from the war. Your people ran from every real fight. Jake felt anger building in his chest. This spoiled princess had never been in a real fight. She had never seen her friends die or had to make choices that would haunt her forever. She lived in this palace and played games while real warriors fought and died. You were not there, he said, his voice still calm but with steel in it. You do not know what happened in the war. The princess's face turned red with anger. In the Veltharian people, this meant she was very upset. How dare you speak to me like that? I am Princess Zarathiel of the Veltharian Empire. You will show respect, or I will have you thrown into the deepest prison we have. The court members made sounds of agreement. They wanted to see the human punished for talking back to their princess. Jake could feel the mood in the room getting darker, but then something unexpected happened. A single word cut through all the noise and anger like a sword through paper. Enough. The voice came from the Empress on her crystal throne. She had been quiet until now, just watching. But that one word made everyone in the hall go silent. Even the princess stopped talking and turned to look at her mother. Empress Lyravan stood up slowly. Jake could see that she was tall and graceful, but there was something different about her now. Her 6 eyes had changed color from soft blue to deep purple. Jake did not know much about Veltharian emotions, but he could tell this color change meant something important. The Empress began to walk down from her throne. Each step seemed to echo in the silent hall. Jake watched her move and felt a strange feeling in his chest. There was something familiar about the way she walked, something that reminded him of, but that was impossible. That person was dead. He had seen her die 20 years ago. The princess looked confused and a little scared. Mother, what are you doing? I was just teaching this human his place. The Empress did not answer. She kept walking toward Jake, her purple eyes fixed on his face. As she got closer, Jake could see her more clearly. The shape of her face, the way she held her shoulders, even the way she breathed. His heart began to beat faster. It could not be. She was dead. He had held her broken body in his arms as her ship exploded around them. He had watched the life leave her eyes. But as she stopped in front of him, Jake knew the truth. 20 years older, with different clothes and a crown instead of battle armor, but it was her. It was really her. Hello, Jake, the Empress said softly, and her voice confirmed what his heart already knew. It has been a long time. Jake stared at the Empress in shock. His mind could not accept what his eyes were telling him. This could not be Lyra. Lyra was dead. He had seen her die in the explosion 20 years ago. He had mourned her every day since then. But here she stood, older but unmistakably the same person who had fought beside him in the Great War. The same person he had loved and lost. Lyra? His voice came out as barely a whisper. The chains on his hands suddenly felt heavier. But you died. I saw you die. The Empress closed her 6 eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them again, Jake could see pain there. Old pain that had never healed. I had to let you believe that, she said quietly. It was the only way to protect what we had created together. Princess Zarathiel looked back and forth between them. Her anger from before was gone, replaced by confusion and growing fear. She had never seen her mother act like this, never heard her speak to anyone with such tenderness. Mother, I do not understand, the princess said. How do you know this human? Why are you speaking to him like you care about him? Other court members were whispering now. Jake could hear the concern in their voices. This was not how things were supposed to go. The Empress was not supposed to know the human prisoner, let alone speak to him like an old friend. Empress Lyravan turned to look at her daughter. For the first time since Jake had seen her, the Empress looked uncertain, almost afraid. Zarathiel, there are things about the Great War that you do not know. Things I have kept hidden to protect you and our people. The princess stepped closer to her mother. What things? Mother, you are scaring me. Jake watched this exchange with growing understanding. The princess looked to be about 20 years old. 20 years ago was when the Great War ended. The timing was too perfect to be a coincidence. He looked more carefully at Princess Zarathiel. Her skin was the pale blue of her people, and she had their 6 eyes. But there was something different about her face, something that did not look quite right for a pure Veltharian. Her jaw was stronger than most of her people, her shoulders were broader, and when she moved, there was something in her walk that reminded Jake of himself when he was young and angry at the world. "Oh no," Jake whispered, as the truth hit him like a punch to the stomach. The Empress heard him and nodded sadly. "You see it too, do not you?" Princess Zarathiel looked between them with growing panic. "See what? What are you talking about? Someone, tell me what is happening." The court was getting louder now. The whispers were becoming worried conversations. Some of the court members were standing up, sensing that something very important was about to happen. General Kethmore, an old male Veltharian with scars on his face, stepped forward from the crowd. "Your Majesty, what is the meaning of this? You should not be speaking with the prisoner like this. It looks weak to our people." The Empress did not look at the general. Her eyes stayed on Jake. "General, you and the others will learn the truth soon enough. But first, I must speak with Lieutenant Morrison alone." "That is not possible," the general said firmly. "This human is dangerous. We cannot leave you alone with him." "I am the Empress," Lyravan said, and her voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "I will do as I choose." But Princess Zarathiel was not going to be sent away. She grabbed her mother's arm, something Jake could tell was very bold for a Veltharian child to do. "No, Mother. I want to know what is happening. This human means something to you, and I can see it in your eyes. Tell me the truth." The Empress looked at her daughter for a long moment. Then she looked at Jake, then back at Zarathiel. Jake could see her making a decision, and he could guess what it was. "Very well," the Empress said. "But the truth will change everything. Your life will never be the same after you hear what I have to say." "I do not care," the princess said. "I am tired of secrets. I am tired of being treated like a child. Tell me." The Empress took another deep breath. She looked older now, tired, in a way that had nothing to do with her body. 20 years ago our empire was dying," she began. "The Void Reapers were destroying everything we had built. Our armies were losing every battle. Our planets were falling one by one. We were going to be extinct within a year." The court members were listening now. Most of them remembered the war, remembered how close they had come to losing everything. "We sent a message to every species we could find, begging for help. Most of them ignored us. They were too afraid of the Void Reapers to risk their own people." Jake remembered that time. The human military had argued for days about whether to help. Many people thought it was too dangerous, that they would just lose their own ships and people for nothing. "But the humans answered our call," the Empress continued. "They came with their small fleet and their strange weapons. They were not as advanced as us, but they had something we had forgotten." "What?" Princess Zarathiel asked. "They had courage. They had the willingness to die for people they had never met. They fought beside us when no one else would." Jake felt a bitter laugh building in his throat. The princess had spent the last hour telling him how cowardly humans were, and now she was learning the truth. "The war was terrible," the Empress said. "We lost so many people. But slowly, working together, we began to win battles. The human tactics were different from ours. Where we were careful and planned everything, they were wild and unpredictable. The Void Reapers could not figure out how to fight them." General Kethmore made a sound of disagreement. "Your Majesty, this is not how the history books tell the story. The history books lie," the Empress said simply. "I wrote some of them myself. I had to protect the truth." She turned back to her daughter. "I was a commander then, not an empress. I led our forces in battle, and I fought side by side with the humans, especially with one human." Jake knew what was coming next. He had dreamed about it for 20 years. "Lieutenant Jake Morrison was the best warrior I had ever seen," the Empress said. "He was brave and smart and kind. He never gave up, even when things looked hopeless. He saved my life more times than I can count." Princess Zarathiel looked at Jake with new eyes. This beaten, chained prisoner had been a hero. The human her mother was describing did not match the weak coward she had been taught about. The final battle was in the void between dimensions. The Empress continued. The Void Reapers had built their nest there, and we had to destroy it or lose everything. It was a suicide mission. No one who went there was expected to come back. Jake remembered that mission. He remembered volunteering for it, knowing he would probably die. He remembered Lyra arguing with her commanders, demanding to go with him. I insisted on going with Lieutenant Morrison. Our people's technology was needed to navigate the dimensional maze. For weeks we were alone together in that terrible place, fighting for our lives every day. The Empress paused and looked directly at Jake. Even after 20 years, he could see the love in her eyes. In those weeks, fighting side by side, depending on each other for everything, we fell in love. The court exploded in shocked whispers. Princess Zarathiel stumbled backward as if she had been hit. Love? The princess whispered. You loved this human? I still do, the Empress said simply. General Kethmore stepped forward, his face red with anger. This is impossible. This is against everything we believe. An Empress cannot love an alien. But I did, Lyravan said. And when we destroyed the Void Reaper nest and collapsed the dimensional rift when we were stranded in our damaged ship waiting for rescue, something wonderful happened. Jake felt his heart stop. He knew what she was going to say, but hearing it would make it real. I became pregnant. The court fell completely silent. Princess Zarathiel made a small sound, like a wounded animal. The Empress turned to her daughter, and Jake could see tears running down her blue cheeks. Zarathiel, my beloved daughter, Lieutenant Jake Morrison is not just any human warrior. He is the man who saved our empire. He is the man I loved more than my own life. She took a step closer. To the princess, he is your father. Princess Zarathiel staggered backward, her 6 eyes wide with shock. The word echoed in the silent hall like thunder. Father, the human she had been mocking, calling weak and cowardly, was her father. No, she whispered, shaking her head. No, that cannot be true. You told me my father died a hero defending our empire. You told me he was a great Veltharian warrior. Empress Lyravan stepped toward her daughter, but Zarathiel backed away. I told you he died a hero because he did. I told you he was a great warrior because he is. I never said he was Veltharian. Jake watched his daughter struggle with the truth. She looked so much like her mother. But now that he knew what to look for, he could see himself in her too. The stubborn set of her jaw when she was angry. The way she stood when she felt cornered. Even the way she thought through problems, he could see it all. This is impossible, General Kethmore declared loudly. Humans and Veltharians cannot have children together. Our species are too different. We thought so too, the Empress said quietly. But love found a way. The general's face was getting redder. Jake could see that this man hated the idea of humans and Veltharians being together. Even if this wild story were true, it would be an abomination. The princess cannot be half human. Look at her, she is pure Veltharian. Look closer, Jake said quietly. It was the first time he had spoken since learning the truth, and his voice was rough with emotion. The court members turned to stare at Princess Zarathiel. Now that they knew what to look for, they could see the differences too. Her skin was paler than most Veltharians. Her face was shaped differently. She was taller and stronger than other females of her people. The differences were small when she was born, the Empress explained. We were able to hide them with makeup and clothing. As she grew older, we said she was just unusually tall for her age. Princess Zarathiel was still shaking her head. But I have 6 eyes like all our people. I can do the mind touch. I can see in multiple spectrums of light. You got those from your mother, Jake said gently. But you got other things from me. Like what? She demanded. Jake thought about what to say. How do you explain to someone that they are not who they thought they were? Have you ever noticed that you think differently than other Veltharians, he asked. That when everyone else wants to be careful and plan everything out, you want to act quickly? The princess frowned. Mother always said I was impatient. Have you ever noticed that you are stronger than other females your age? That you heal faster from injuries? Yes. But I thought that was just genetics. It is genetics, Jake said, with a sad smile. Human genetics mixed with Veltharian. The Empress moved closer to her daughter again. This time, Zarathiel did not back away. I wanted to tell you the truth so many times. But after the war ended, there were political problems. Many of our people still did not trust humans even after they saved us. Why not? The princess asked. General Kethmore spoke up. Because humans are unpredictable and dangerous. They pretend to be our friends, but they want to conquer us. The war was just an excuse for them to study our technology and find our weaknesses. Jake felt anger flare in his chest. We lost thousands of people saving your empire. We asked for nothing in return except peace. You asked for nothing because you were planning to take everything, the general shot back. That is enough, the Empress said firmly. General Kethmore, you were not there. You did not fight beside the humans. You did not see their sacrifice. I saw the aftermath, the general said. I saw how they wanted to keep ships in our space, how they wanted to build bases on our worlds. They wanted to help rebuild, the Empress said. They wanted to make sure the Void Reapers never came back. Jake remembered those days after the war. The human military had wanted to leave some ships behind, just in case. But the Veltharian government had been divided. Some wanted the humans to stay. Others wanted them to leave immediately. What happened to me? Jake asked quietly. Why did you let me think you were dead? The Empress closed her eyes in pain. When we were rescued from the void, I was obviously pregnant. The political situation was very bad. Some of our people wanted to make you a hero and give you a home here. Others wanted to arrest you for what we had done together. And you chose to fake your death instead of fighting for us, Jake said. There was no anger in his voice, just sadness. I chose to protect our daughter, the Empress said. If they had known she was half human, they would have killed her. Some of our people believe that mixing species creates monsters. Princess Zarathiel made a sound of pain. Is that what I am? A monster? No. Jake and the Empress said at the same time. Jake wished he could go to his daughter, comfort her, but the chain still held him. You are not a monster. You are proof that two different peoples can create something beautiful together. The princess looked at him with her 6 green eyes. But you do not even know me. How can you say that? Because I have been watching you for the last hour, Jake said. I have seen how you think, how you move, how you get angry when people do not listen to you. You remind me of myself when I was young. You were nothing like me, the princess said. But there was less conviction in her voice now. I was exactly like you, Jake said with a small smile. Angry at the world, convinced that everyone who disagreed with me was weak or stupid. Sure, that I knew better than everyone else. The princess frowned. I am not angry at the world. Are you not? Jake asked. You have been preparing for war against my people for years. Your mother told me. You hate humans without ever really meeting. 1. I hate humans because they are cowards and weaklings, the princess said. But her voice was quiet now. Do I look like a coward to you? Jake asked. The princess studied him. He was chained and beaten, but he had not begged or cried. He had stood up to her mockery. He had defended his people even when it might make his punishment worse. No, she admitted quietly. You do not look like a coward. The Empress stepped closer to both of them. Jake, I need you to know why I made the choice I did. When we were rescued, the political situation was terrible. Half the government wanted to execute you as an alien spy. The other half wanted to make you a hero, but only if you stayed here forever and never saw Earth again. Jake felt a chill. They would not let me go home. They said you knew too much about our technology and our weaknesses. They said if you returned to Earth, you would tell your people how to conquer us. That is ridiculous, Jake said. Earth had no interest in conquering anyone. We just wanted to help. I know that, the Empress said. But fear makes people believe stupid things. So I made a choice. I faked my death in a shuttle accident. I let you believe I was gone, and you were allowed to return to Earth with honors. Jake thought about his trip home after the war, the medals and parades, the way everyone called him a hero, and the whole time he had been mourning the woman he loved, not knowing she was alive and carrying his child. What about after she was born? Jake asked. Could you not have told me then? The Empress shook her head. Things got worse, not better. General Kethmore and others like him gained power. They convinced people that humans were a threat. They said the war had been a trick, that humans had helped the Void Reapers attack us so they could swoop in and pretend to be heroes. Jake stared at the general. You actually believe that? I believe humans are dangerous, the general said coldly. And this conversation proves it. You have corrupted our Empress and created an unnatural child. You are exactly the threat I always said you were. Princess Zarathiel suddenly stepped forward. Her confusion was being replaced by anger again, but this time it was directed at the general. Do not call me unnatural, she said, and her voice carried a tone that Jake recognized. It was the same tone he used when someone pushed him too far. You are an abomination, the general said cruelly. Half human, half Veltharian. You belong to neither species. You are a mistake that should never have been born. Jake felt rage build in his chest. Chains or no chains, he was going to hurt this alien if he kept talking about his daughter that way. But he did not need to. Princess Zarathiel moved faster than Jake had ever seen a Veltharian move. One moment she was standing beside her mother. The next, she had crossed the distance to General Kethmore and grabbed him by the throat. Say that again, she whispered, and there was something in her voice that made the whole court go silent. The general tried to speak, but the princess's grip was too strong. Jake realized that his daughter had inherited human strength along with Veltharian speed. She was more dangerous than anyone in this room realized. Zarathiel, the Empress said gently, let him go. The princess looked at her mother, then at Jake, then back at the general. Slowly, she released her grip. The general gasped for air and stumbled backward. You see? He wheezed. She is violent like her human father. She is dangerous. I am dangerous, Princess Zarathiel agreed. But not because I am half human. I am dangerous because I am tired of lies. She turned to face the entire court. All my life, you have told me stories about the Great War. You said humans were cowards, who ran from battle. You said we won the war alone with our superior technology and tactics. Her voice was getting stronger, more confident. But now I learn that humans saved us, that they died for us, that one human loved my mother enough to risk everything and… General Kethmore rubbed his throat where Princess Zarathiel had grabbed him. His eyes were full of hate and fear. You see what I mean? She attacks her own people. The human blood makes her violent and unpredictable. I attacked you because you insulted me, the princess said calmly. Any Veltharian would have done the same if you called them an abomination. A true Veltharian would have challenged me to formal combat, not grabbed me like a wild animal, the general shot back. Jake could see that the court was divided. Some of the aliens looked shocked by what they had learned. Others seemed angry like the general. A few looked frightened, as if they did not know what to think. General Kethmore, the Empress said, her voice carrying royal authority. You will watch your tongue when speaking about my daughter. Your daughter is a threat to our people, the general said boldly. And so are you. You have betrayed your own species for alien contamination. The Empress's 6 eyes flashed purple again. I saved our species. Without human help, we would all be dead. We would have found another way, the general insisted. We did not need alien help. What other way? Jake asked. Your armies were losing every battle. Your planets were falling one by one. What magical solution were you going to find? The general turned his hate-filled gaze on Jake. We would have fought to the last warrior. We would have died with honor instead of living with shame. There is no honor in extinction, the Empress said quietly. Princess Zarathiel was looking, back and forth between the adults trying to understand the politics behind their words. Jake could see her mind working, putting pieces together. "General," she said suddenly, "if humans are so weak and cowardly, how did they help us win the war?" The general's face got redder. They got lucky, and they had help from traitors among our own people." "Traitors like my mother?" the princess asked, and there was danger in her voice. "Your mother was fooled by human tricks," the general said quickly. "They made her think they cared about our people, but really they just wanted to study our technology." Jake laughed, but there was no humor in it. "If we wanted your technology, we could have taken it after we saved you. Your empire was broken. Your military was destroyed. We could have conquered you easily." "Then why did you not?" the general demanded. "Because that is not who we are," Jake said simply. "We do not conquer people we have saved." The general made a sound of disgust. "Pretty words, but I know the truth. Humans are planning to invade us. That is why I have been preparing our defenses. That is why I have been training our young people to hate you." Princess Zarathiel stared at the general. "You have been training me to hate my own father?" "I have been training you to protect your people from their enemies," the general said. "By lying to me about who those enemies are?" The princess's voice was getting louder. The empress put a hand on her daughter's arm. "Zarathiel, there is more you need to know. General Kethmore has not just been preparing defenses, he has been preparing an attack." Jake felt ice in his stomach. "What kind of attack?" 5 years ago, the general convinced our military council that humans were planning to invade, the empress explained. "He has been building a fleet and training soldiers. He wants to strike first before humans can attack us." "That is military wisdom," the general said proudly. "Strike your enemy before they can strike you." "But humans are not your enemy," Jake said desperately. "We have been at peace for 20 years. We have never threatened you." "Peace is just preparation for war," the general said. "Everyone knows that." Princess Zarathiel looked shocked. "General, you are planning to attack human worlds? Innocent people who have done nothing wrong?" "I am planning to protect our people," the general said. "Your human blood makes you weak. You cannot see the threat clearly." The princess took a step toward the general, and Jake could see the anger building in her again. "My human blood makes me see lies clearly. You have been lying to me my whole life." "I have been protecting you," the general insisted. "By teaching me to hate half of what I am," the princess demanded. The general's face twisted with disgust. "You should hate that half. It makes you unfit to rule our people." The empress stepped forward. "General Kethmore, you are out of line. My daughter will rule this empire after me, and she will do it with wisdom from both her heritages." "Never," the general said flatly. "The people will never accept a half-breed ruler. When they learn the truth, they will demand her removal." "Then we will not let them learn the truth," the empress said, but Princess Zarathiel shook her head. "No, mother. I am tired of secrets. I am tired of lies." She turned to address the entire court. Her voice carried through the hall, strong and clear. "People of the Veltharian Empire, you have heard the truth today. I am Princess Zarathiel, daughter of Empress Lyravan and Lieutenant Jake Morrison of Earth. I am half human and half Veltharian." The court erupted in shocked voices. Some aliens stood up from their seats. Others began arguing with each other. "I have lived my whole life believing that humans were weak and cowardly," the princess continued, raising her voice over the noise. "I have been taught to hate them and prepare for war against them, but now I know the truth." She looked at Jake, and he saw pride in her eyes. "Humans saved our empire when no one else would help. They died for us. They asked for nothing in return, except peace." General Kethmore stepped forward. "You are not fit to rule. You are contaminated with alien blood." The princess turned to face him, and Jake saw something in her expression that made him proud and terrified at the same time. She had the same look he got when he was about to do something dangerous and necessary. "You are right, General," she said quietly. "I am not like other Veltharians. I think differently. I move differently. I see things differently." She took a step closer to him. That does not make me weak. It makes me more than what I was before. The general sneered. You are less than what you should be. Then prove it, the princess said. Jake felt his heart stop. He knew what she was about to do, and he wanted to stop her, but the chains held him back. I challenge you to combat, Princess Zarathiel declared. If you believe I am unfit to rule because of my human blood, then defeat me in battle and prove it. The court went completely silent. A challenge to combat was serious business among the Veltharians. It was a legal way to settle disputes that could not be solved with words. General Kethmore smiled coldly. You want to fight me? I have been a warrior for 50 years. You are a spoiled princess who has never seen real battle. I am the daughter of 2 warriors, the princess said. I have their strength and their skills. Do you accept my challenge or not? The general looked around the court. Jake could see him calculating. If he refused the challenge, he would look weak. If he accepted and won, he could claim the right to rule instead of the princess. I accept, he said. But when I defeat you, the people will know that humans have made you weak, and they will demand that we attack Earth before more humans can corrupt our children. Jake struggled against his chains. Do not do this, he called to his daughter. He is trying to trick you. Princess Zarathiel looked at him. Father, she said, and hearing her call him that made his heart swell with joy and fear. You taught me something important today, even though you did not mean to. What is that? Jake asked. You taught me that sometimes you have to stand up and fight, even when the odds are against you. Even when people say you cannot win. She turned back to the general. You want to attack innocent humans because you are afraid of what they represent. You are afraid that cooperation is stronger than hatred. You are afraid that love is stronger than fear. The general drew his sword, a weapon that glowed with energy. I fear nothing from a half-breed child. Princess Zarathiel did not draw a weapon. Instead, she smiled, and Jake saw his own stubborn determination in her face. Then let us begin, she said. The general attacked, expecting an easy victory. He had trained for decades. He was bigger and stronger than the princess. His sword could cut through metal, but he had never fought someone who thought like a human and moved like a Veltharian. Princess Zarathiel dodged his first attack with impossible speed. His second swing missed her by inches as she twisted away. His third attack hit nothing but air as she rolled under his blade. The general grew frustrated. He was used to opponents who fought with Veltharian tactics, careful, planned, predictable. The princess fought like her father would have, wild and creative and impossible to predict. She grabbed a ceremonial spear from a wall display and used it to block the general's next attack. The metal rang against his energy sword, throwing sparks. You fight like an animal, the general snarled. I fight like a human, the princess replied, and spun the spear in a pattern that made the general step back. Jake watched his daughter fight and felt pride mixed with terror. She was good, better than he had expected. But the general was experienced and desperate. This fight could go either way. The princess pressed her attack, using the spear's reach to keep the general at a distance. But he was smart and patient. He waited for his chance, then grabbed the spear shaft and yanked her closer. His energy sword came up toward her throat. The princess let go of the spear and dropped to the ground, sweeping the general's legs. He fell hard, his sword flying from his hand. Before he could get up, Princess Zarathiel was standing over him. General Kethmore laughed at Princess Zarathiel's words. Go after them? With what? My fleet has a 6-hour head start and the fastest ships in the Empire. You will never catch them in time. The princess turned to her mother. What about your personal ship? The royal flagship? Empress Lyravan shook her head. It is fast, but not fast enough, and even if we could catch them, what then? It is one ship against an entire battle fleet. Jake watched his daughter think through the problem. He could see her frustration, but also her determination. She was not going to give up even when the situation looked hopeless. That was definitely something she got from him. We need help, the princess said suddenly. We need someone who knows how to fight impossible battles and win. She looked directly at Jake. We need you, father. Jake rattled his chains. I am not going anywhere like this. And even if I were free, I am just one man. What can I do against an entire fleet? You can teach me, the princess said. You can show me how humans think in battle, how they turn disadvantages into advantages. General Kethmore sneered. The human cannot help you. He is weak and old. His time is past. Jake looked at the general with cold eyes. I may be old, but I am not dead yet. The Empress stepped forward. Guards, release Lieutenant Morrison immediately. 2 guards moved toward Jake, but General Kethmore raised his hand. No, he remains a prisoner. I will not let him corrupt the bee. Princess further. You have no authority to countermand my orders, the Empress said angrily. I have the authority of someone trying to save our people from their own foolishness, the general replied. The human stays in chains. Princess Zarathiel moved faster than anyone expected. She grabbed the keys from one of the guards and unlocked Jake's chains before anyone could stop her. Jake rubbed his wrists where the metal had cut into his skin. Thank you, he said to his daughter. Do not thank me yet, the princess said. First, we have to save both our peoples from a war that will destroy everything. The Empress looked around the court. Who will stand with us? Who will help us stop this madness? Many of the court members looked uncertain. They were afraid of the general, afraid of making the wrong choice. But then, an old female alien stood up. I will stand with the Empress, she said in a shaky voice. I remember the real war. I remember how humans saved us. Another alien stood up, then another. Soon half the court was standing in support of the Empress. General Kethmore looked around at the divided court. Fools, he said. You choose aliens over your own people. We choose truth over lies, the old female said firmly. The princess turned to Jake. Can we catch the fleet? Is there any way? Jake thought for a moment. Maybe, but we would need more than just speed. We would need to think like humans. What do you mean? The Empress asked. The general's fleet will take the most direct route to Earth, Jake explained. They will travel in formation, following standard military procedures. They will be careful and predictable. And humans are not predictable, the princess said, understanding immediately. Exactly, Jake said with a small smile. We take a dangerous shortcut. We risk everything on one chance. The Empress frowned. What kind of shortcut? Jake looked around the court, making sure he had everyone's attention. The Void Reaper dimensional rift. It never fully closed after we destroyed their nest. The space there is still unstable, still dangerous. But it is also a direct path to Earth's sector. The court gasped. Everyone knew about the dimensional rift. Everyone knew it was forbidden to go there. That is suicide, General Kethmore said. The dimensional storms will tear any ship apart. Maybe, Jake agreed, but maybe not. Your ships are better now than they were 20 years ago, and I know how to navigate dimensional storms. Princess Zarathiel looked at him with admiration and fear. You would risk your life to save people who do not even know you exist? I would risk my life to prevent a war between my daughter's 2 peoples, Jake said simply. The Empress stepped closer to him. Jake, I cannot ask you to do this. The dimensional rift nearly killed us last time and we barely survived. You are not asking, Jake said. I am volunteering and this time I will not be going alone. He looked at his daughter. Zarathiel, you said you wanted to learn how humans fight. This is lesson 1. Sometimes the only way to win is to do something. So crazy that your enemy cannot predict it. The princess nodded. I understand. When do we leave? General Kethmore stepped forward. You are not going anywhere. I will not let you leave this planet. Try and stop us, the princess said, and Jake heard his own stubborn defiance in her voice. The general signaled to his loyal guards. Arrest them all. They are traitors to the Empire. But the guards hesitated. Half the court supported the Empress. Many of the soldiers were confused about who to obey. In that moment of confusion, Princess Zarathiel acted. She grabbed Jake's hand and her mother's hand and ran toward the exit. The three of them made it out of the Great Hall before anyone could react. They ran through the palace corridors, heading for the royal docking bay. Behind them, Jake could hear shouts and footsteps as guards chased them. "This way," the Empress called, leading them down a side corridor. "The royal ship is just ahead." They burst into the docking bay to find the royal flagship waiting for them. It was beautiful, all smooth curves and glowing lights. Jake had never seen a ship like it. "Can you really pilot this thing through a dimensional storm?" the princess asked as they ran up the boarding ramp. "I guess we will find out," Jake said. They reached the control room just as guards entered the docking bay. The Empress quickly started the launch sequence while Jake studied the navigation controls. "How long until we reach the dimensional rift?" he asked. 4 hours at maximum speed," the Empress replied. "And how long until the fleet reaches Earth?" 14 hours. Jake did quick math in his head. "We will have 2 hours to stop them. That is not much time." The ship lifted off, breaking free of the planet's gravity. Behind them, other ships were launching in pursuit, but the royal flagship was faster. Princess Zarathiel sat in the co-pilot's seat, watching Jake work with the navigation system. "What is your plan, Father? How do we stop an entire fleet with one ship?" Jake looked at his daughter and smiled. "We do not fight them. We talk to them." "Talk to them?" The princess looked confused. "But the general said they are under communication silence." "They are under orders not to communicate with their home base," Jake explained. "But they will listen to their future empress, especially if she has important news to share." The Empress looked up from her controls. "What news?" "The truth," Jake said. "We tell them what really happened in the Great War. We tell them that their princess is half human and she is proud of it. We tell them that the general lied to start this war." "Will they believe us?" Princess Zarathiel asked. "Some will," Jake said. "And sometimes that is enough." The ship jumped to faster than light speed, heading toward the dimensional rift. Jake watched the stars streak past and thought about the irony of his situation. 20 years ago, he had gone into this same dangerous region to save the Veltharian Empire. Now he was doing it again, but this time to save both their peoples. "Jake," the Empress said quietly, "I want you to know how sorry I am for lying to you, for letting you think I was dead, for keeping you from your daughter." Jake looked at her. After 20 years, she was still beautiful, still the woman he had fallen in love with in the depths of space. "I understand why you did it," he said. "You were protecting her. You were protecting your people. I would have made the same choice." Princess Zarathiel looked between her parents. "After we stop this war, what happens then? Do you go back to Earth, Father? Do we pretend none of this happened?" Jake thought about her question. What did happen now? His old life on Earth seemed very far away. "I do not know," he said honestly. "But I know one thing. I am not going to lose my family again." The ship shuddered as they approached the dimensional rift. Outside the windows, space itself began to twist and bend. Colors that had no names swirled in impossible patterns. "Here we go," Jake said, taking control of the ship. "Hold on to something, this is going to be rough." They plunged into the dimensional storm. The ship bucked and rolled as space-time twisted around them. Alarms screamed warnings. Lightning that was not really lightning crackled across the hull, but Jake's hands were steady on the controls. He had done this before. He knew how to read the patterns in chaos, how to find safe paths through impossible storms. Princess Zarathiel watched her father work with amazement. This was not the beaten prisoner from the courtroom. This was the legendary warrior who had saved an empire. "There," Jake said suddenly. "I can see the exit." They burst out of the dimensional rift into normal space just as Earth's sun became visible in the distance. They had made it, but now came the hard part. "I am detecting the fleet," the Empress reported. 40 ships approaching Earth's outer colonies. "Open a communication channel," Jake said. "All frequencies." Princess Zarathiel took a deep breath. "This is Princess Zarathiel of the Veltharian Empire, speaking to all ships of the attack fleet. You will stop your advance immediately and listen to what I have to say." There was silence for a moment, then a voice crackled over the communication system. "Princess, this is Admiral Von Tar. We are under orders to maintain communication silence. I am countermanding those orders.